obvious why they only had one hit, but this one kind of baffles me. From the very beginning, with their debut smash single, Deee-Lite seemed like a band that was destined for bigger, better things. They weren't some second-tier act riding some trend. They were bigger than life, fully formed, unique, unmistakable for anyone else. Everything about them screamed star. Their music, their image, they should have been one of the biggest pop acts in the world. And Groove Is in the Heart was the perfect introduction to them. To this day, Groove Is in the Heart is one of the most beloved songs from the otherwise horrible wasteland that was pop music in 1990. The chills that you spill up my back. I spent a lot of time around music geeks, and I've never heard of one of them have anything but glowing praise for Groove Is in the Heart. But even among them, I've never heard anyone acknowledge a single other thing they ever did. If I had been aware of music back then, I would have torn apart record stores trying to find out everything about them. I mean, I thought Groove was in the butt. But here's this group upending everything I ever thought I knew about Groove. It is. Who doesn't love Grooves in the Heart? Nobody, that's who. And yet, despite having stardom written all over them, nothing else from Deee-Lite ever seemed to happen. Someone says, hey, you know that other Deee-Lite song, right? No one raises their hand. Out of all the acts who couldn't get a second hit I've ever covered, I think this is the one that bothers me the most. So I have dedicated myself to finding out why exactly our hearts no longer have any groove in it. My guess, too much cholesterol. Watch out! You know, as much as I love Grooves in the Heart, I always liked Deee-Lite more the first time I heard them, when they were called the B-52s. No, that's not fair. The B-52s were a new wave rock band, and they really liked their 60s surf music. Deee-Lite were a dance act, and their influences come from the psychedelic 60s and disco, as evidenced by the fact that they always seem to be wearing 70s basement furniture. There are 3 members of Deee-Lite: Super DJ Dimitri, Jungle DJ Toa Toa, and frontwoman the Lady Miss Kier, which, you know, let's be serious here, that's a drag queen name. In fact, the name made me kind of wonder if she wasn't a really convincing drag queen herself, but no, she's all woman. Obviously. In fact, I think I may have made some unfair assumptions about, you know, their music scene, their image, but I was really kind of surprised to find out that every single one of these people is straight. These two were even married for a while. I gotta admit, it feels nice to have somebody representing for us straight folks in new disco. Like, God, we are super underrepresented. Where's our parade? The name Deee-Lite was inspired from the Cole Porter song, The Lovely. As a matter of fact, they did seem to like adding D to the beginning of words.
How do you say? De groovy? How do you say? De gorgeous!
That feels like you could get D annoying real quick. Matter of fact, I'm really surprised that these people don't get on my nerves. I mean, the Lady Miss Kier, what a pretentious name, right? Okay, I'm looking here, and her real name is Kieran Magenta. So I guess she actually kind of toned it down. They were big in the club scene in the late 80s because they mixed up all kinds of genres: funk, house, jungle, rave, synth, disco, all sorts of stuff. This got them a record deal with Elektra Records, which unfortunately killed Dimitri's other project, which starred 2 drag queens playing the characters Lady Bunny and Sister Dimension of the planet Shazork. Okay, so that's the kind of thing I'm talking about when I say Deee-Lite could have been really obnoxious. And right before they finished the album, they gained 2 more fans. Legendary funk bassist Bootsy Collins and saxophonist Maceo Parker heard their demo and traveled to the studio to play with them personally. I don't want to say that's the entire reason Deee-Lite got big, but it certainly didn't hurt.
Ooh la 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 la.
Like I said, anyone else who tried this might have been the most annoying person on Earth. Not here, though. Dig! God, I just love this song. It just makes you want to get up and dance. And it doesn't even matter if you can't dance. Neither could Deee-Lite. They were kind of terrible dancers for a dance act. How can you not enjoy that? I've never met anyone who said, I hate Groove Is in the Heart. I don't even know what that would say about you if you did. Now, the song I always like to compare this to is Love Shack, and they do have a lot in common. But Love Shack is very different structurally because it's all over the place. I wouldn't be surprised to find out most of it was ad-libbed. I mean, it sounds like they're just jamming. Groove Is in the Heart is the exact opposite. It sounds loose and funky, but if you listen, every element is tight and controlled. None of this would work if every single element didn't come together the way it does. Starting with the world's tightest bass line, courtesy of Bootsy Collins, who also adds his own vocal stylings. In his own band, he always sounded like he was just rambling whatever random thing came into his head, and he sounds no different here.
Deee-Lite has definitely been known to smoke.
I dig. 'Cause it's Bootsy, baby. And then there are the wacky lyrics, some of which are utterly retro cool.
The chills that you spill up my back leave me filled with satisfaction.
And some of which are just gibberish.
My supper dish, my succotash wish.
Sing it, baby.
Succotash? Well, I guess veggies would be good for your heart, and the groove they're in. And some of which are just confusing.
We're going to Horton Hears a Who.
I like Dr. Seuss, but I never thought Horton Hears a Who was particularly groovable. No. But then there's the key element that brings it all together. Random noises! More! Honestly, I guess Q-Tip's rap isn't all that memorable. But when a legendary rapper like Q-Tip is the worst thing about a song, that says some good things about it. And of course it's all anchored by what should have been a star-making performance by Miss Keir. And also I know she picked a style intentionally designed to appeal to gay men, but as a straight guy, I could watch this lady all day and all night. I'm an ape. I'm surprised it didn't rank even higher on the charts, but apparently it only reached as high as number 4. But it's a good base from which to start a career. What the hell happened? Surely they had more silly sound effects they could turn into a song. Okay, well this is clearly not Grooves in the Heart. In retrospect, they obviously weren't going to be able to replicate Grooves in the Heart, so it's probably a good thing to produce music that doesn't really sound that much like it. This is a little more generic, early 90s house music, but you know, this is still good. And look at all the colors! Pinks and oranges and greens! That feels pretty Deee-Lite-ful. I don't know why it didn't catch on.
I just want to hear a good beat.
That whole album is actually pretty good. I don't know why it doesn't get more play. Or maybe it does among a hipper crowd than I go to. This should have been big. Maybe they were just a victim of being a dance act in 1990. I think I've said before that the early 90s were a time of traumatic upheaval as far as pop music goes. I've usually connected that to Nirvana, but it goes beyond just rock. I'd estimate that 80% of acts that had a big hit in 1990 were gone by 1993. And certainly house music wasn't known for long careers anyway. This is a genre where CNC Music Factory were considered mega superstars. It may also be that Grooves in the Heart pigeonholed them as this happy, fun times act, and dance music in the early 90s was moving in a different direction. People didn't want fun, they wanted in-your-face, aggressive, slammin', I think we called it in the 90s. Miss Keir said they felt a little alienated by the sudden jock jamness that took over house music. All that said, I still think Deee-Lite had it in them to go a little longer. But then that second album happened.
Why don't we?
This is their sophomore album's debut single, Runaway. It's among the better songs on that album, and though it's not awful, it is at best half-finished. And that's not even getting into the bigger problem with that album, which is that they got a lot less D-gorgeous and a lot more D-preachy.
Along with the techno grooves and neo-psychedelia we've come to expect, it shows us a surprisingly serious side to Deee-Lite.
Tell me, if you were around in 1992, would you want to hear the band that did Grooves in the Heart rap about the ozone layer, safe sex, and the importance of registering to vote? I can't believe this exists. And this isn't just a Rock the Vote ad for the record, this is a full song on the album. The same-sex one is even worse.
You mind if pulling the covers from each other? Still make love without wearing a rubber? They might have slept with another.
Toa Toa left the group at that point and they never recovered. Toa Toa said he left because the atmosphere was getting toxic. They got a new member, DJ Ami, I don't know. And that brought them more into trance music and they had more of a relaxed vibe at this point.
Watching people have a good time. Watching people have a good time in the summertime.
It's not bad, but again, it's not grooves in the heart either. Oh, and about that toxic atmosphere. Did I mention these two were married? Well, emphasis on were. Kier and Dimitri were Splitsville at that point, and that was pretty much it. Some acts can still make good music after an intra-band breakup. Deee-Lite wasn't one of them. The process kind of broke down and the group just wasn't on the same page anymore. The last I heard from Deee-Lite was back when Lady Miss Kier sued this PlayStation game, Space Channel 5, because they allegedly ripped off her image for their lead character. I played it. It's basically Simon with a dance beat behind it. It's okay. And yeah, the lead character is totally her, but she didn't win the lawsuit.
Let's go.
All three members work as DJs now. Miss Kier is still an icon among certain circles for the record, and a lot of fashion magazines say she's one of the most influential style icons in music, so there you go. None of their other songs ever delivered on the promise of grooves in the heart. They still deserve better. They were fun to listen to, especially on their first album. They were just too weird, I guess, for the time. They might have had better luck in the last half of the 90s alongside Smash Mouth and Hanson, and especially the Spice Girls, who show a lot of influence of Deee-Lite on them. Lady Gaga probably owes her a lot too. At least we still have grooves in the heart, though. Everybody loves that. Unless you don't, in which case I guess groove is just not in your heart. God knows what actually is in your heart.
Your heart is full of unwashed socks, your soul is full of gunk.
See, groove will make your heart grow 3 sizes. I'm Todd In The Shadows, and I'm out. Dig.
The groovy.